1971 to 1972. That was the last time the Denver Broncos had two straight losing seasons until it happened last season. So how will the year 3 experiment of the Denver Broncos go? John Elway has not had a successful career as a president of the Broncos, and it has showed. He has changed quarterbacks more times than I changed deodorant in the last week. It's been a real struggle if you're a Broncos fan, and I am very sorry. It's not going to get any better. Let's take a look at how they're going to do this year under the new Joe Flacco era, at least for 1 year. So the Broncos open the year in Oakland. This can always go either way, but lately the Raiders have had some success beating the Broncos at home. I see that happening again this year. So the Broncos are going to start the year 0-1. They host the Chicago Bears, and this is the game in which I think the Bears can win, but because it's the Broncos' home opener, I see the Broncos taking this one to go to 1-1. Broncos head into Lambeau Field, and this is a very, very big possibility that they can win this game. But Aaron Rodgers has a point to prove this year, and I think the Packers take this one early on. Broncos will be 1-2. And as you saw in my Jaguars video, I predicted the Jaguars to take down the Broncos. And I simply believe that's because the Jaguars will be able to run the ball well on them. And they'll be able to break the Broncos defense apart. It'll be a very low scoring affair. Week 5, Broncos head into Carson to take on the Chargers. Now, if last year proved anything, it's that the Broncos, for some weird reason, I'm not counting the year they lost 21-0 a couple years ago, always seem to do well in LA. It's always a close game for the most part. They always play the Chargers tight on the road. I don't understand that. And I see that happening again this year for some weird reason. They're going to go into Carson and beat the Chargers. Doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. The Titans come into town, and I see the Titans falling to the Broncos. So by this point, the Broncos will have a 3-3 record, and they'll be looking like they can do something on the season. The Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos, Thursday Night Football. Patty Mahomes is 3-0 against them. That winless streak, that unbeaten streak ends this season as the Broncos finally find a way to beat the Chiefs. And yes, the Broncos are looking good at this point at 4-3. Then they head to Indianapolis to take on Andrew Luck and the Colts. And they will fall to 4-4 with a loss. The Cleveland Browns come into town, and these aren't your mom's Browns. The Browns find a way to win in Denver once again. So by this point, the Broncos are 4-5 going into their bye week. Broncos head into Minneapolis to take on the Minnesota Vikings week 11. They will fall to the Vikings. This will probably be a close game because the Vikings will for some reason not take the Broncos seriously, and it will hurt them. But the Vikings will find a way to prevail this late in the year. Broncos will head into Orchard Park, New York to take on the Bills in week 12. It's probably going to be snowing by this point. Both teams are used to the snow, but it's going to be an ugly game. The Bills are going to beat them. So the Broncos will be 4-7. Chargers coming to Denver, and just like I had the Broncos winning in Carson, I have the Chargers taking the game in Denver. So by this point, the Broncos, they're not looking too good. They've lost 5 in a row, and things are not looking good. Broncos head into Houston. They fall to the Texans. They head to Arrowhead. They lose to the Chiefs. So they're 4-10 by this point, and they've lost multiple games in a row. I don't know if John Elway's seat is warm yet, but it should be by this point. The Lions come into town. The Broncos beat them in week 16. Raiders come into town. Broncos beat them in week 17. And the Broncos will finish the year 6-10. What do you guys think? Do you think the Broncos will have a successful season? Do you think the Broncos will finish at least 500 or maybe make the playoffs? Will Joe Flacco be able to rediscover the magic and lead the Broncos to win back to their winning ways and overcome their 2 losing seasons? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm ready to hear from you. Thanks for watching this video.